All right, you guys, it's time for Q&A Tuesday. Was that the jingle? I don't even remember. It's been crazy. We've got cousins here. I stepped outside because Bubba's putting kids down. So I'm going to talk fast. My hair's crazy. It's just been a long day, but it's Q&A Tuesday. And you guys had some amazing questions. There's one question that I saw pop up over and over, but in all various different forms. I think mostly based on my stories yesterday of showing how I grocery shop. And that is about grocery budget. How much should I spend? How in the world do you keep your grocery budget so small? Could this ever work for me with our diet restrictions or where we live in the world? We've tried a tight grocery budget and it doesn't work. What are we doing wrong? So many questions. So let's just jump into it. Okay, first and foremost, you have to know that, so I have been talking about budgeting publicly, professionally since 2011. I've been on the Today Show, Good Morning America. I've been on Rachel Ray 5 times. I don't know. I've been all over the place and I've talked about money and grocery shopping and budgeting a lot. So for some of you, this might not be new. So maybe you've heard it before, but for some of you, you still are confused by it. So just know that generally what I'm about to teach you can work for you. It doesn't matter if you have special dietary restrictions. It doesn't matter how many teenagers you have. It doesn't matter where you live in the world. The principle is the same. And that principle is this. You need to set a budget per person in your household and add up that grocery budget, and it's a monthly budget, and then divide it out per week. So you have a weekly grocery budget now, not a monthly grocery budget. And then you need to tighten up on your grocery shopping. But most importantly, even more important than shopping, it's about the cooking. Okay, so those things all considered, which let me tell you, we go into really great detail about budgeting, grocery budgets, how to form a budget and not hate it, money management of all shapes and sizes in my budgeting program, Budget Bootcamp. I will link that in the video description and I'll also hyperlink it, which if you're watching this on IGTV, just click the little like triangle thing up here somewhere. It'll be hyperlinked. And you can use the code TAKE30 and you get 30% off of Budget Bootcamp program or my productivity program just for the month of June, which is the biggest discount we've had since pre-order. So you can still take advantage of that with the code TAKE30. I do have a shelf cooking Instagram account. Do you know that? And I will tag it in the description. That's where we share super frugal grocery shopping and cooking hacks. So follow that. Follow my Fun Cheaper Free feed. That's where we talk about frugal living in general. My Budget Bootcamp feed talks about Budget Bootcamp. So I have a lot of different accounts. I do try to share as much as I can on this main one as well. But okay, so all those things being said, here's what I recommend. I recommend that you start with a grocery budget of $100 per person in your family per month. Okay, so let's say you have 5 people in your family. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's $500 per month. But it doesn't stop there. Budgeting per month is really not that effective. Some people can do it, but for the most of us, if you hand me $500 on July 1st, by July 9th, it's gone. It's gone. Like, I cannot pace myself. If you give me the money, I'm going to find things that we need and I will spend it, right? So through a lot of trial and error, breaking it down to a weekly budget is far, far more effective. We have had at this point, hundreds of thousands of boot campers who've gone through my program. I had tons of people that I did one-on-one consulting with prior to that. I've, like I said, done all these TV segments. I've worked with families. I've worked with people all over the world. It can work, but you need to break it down per week. All right. And I will say this. So if you have a family of 2, let's say it's just yourself or you and a partner, start at $300. I don't think it's reasonable for anybody to be spending like $25 or $50 a week on food. So I always say $100 per person in your family per month, starting at $300. And what that means is if you're a family of 1, $300. If you're a family of 2, $300. If you're a family of 3, $300. But if you're a family of 4, it's $400 and then on. Okay. So I am a family of 10. So that means I get $1,000 a month, which is much greater than most of you have. I understand that. So let's say a family of 4, $400 a month, but you break it down per week. So you get $100 per week for groceries. Now, before you turn this off, before you faint, before you freak out, let me teach you a couple of things. I definitely understand that if you live in somewhere like Hawaii, where a single pineapple will cost you $7.50 or more, which is ridiculous because they grow there in Hawaii, but don't even get me started on that. Obviously, you might need to adjust. Or if you are gluten-free, or if you've got 6 teenagers in your home, obviously that might not work. But this is why I recommend starting with it, because the reality is, no matter what excuses you have, and a lot of them I'm sure are valid, but no matter what you say, the reality is we can all do better. Almost all of us. Some of you are watching and you might be like perfect at this, so just ignore what I'm saying. But for the rest of us, we all can be better. How many times do we, 4:30 or 5 o'clock rolls around and we're like, oh crap, I don't have dinner plans. I don't know what to do. You end up ordering DoorDash or takeout, or you go get a pizza, or you open a really expensive pre-made meal that was either mailed to you or you picked up at a store and you cook that. Yes, cooking and shopping is very expensive in that case, and it probably is cheaper to just go eat out than it would be to shop that way. Or you find a recipe on Pinterest where you go out and you buy every ingredient you need for the recipe. You come home, you either don't make it in time and the stuff goes bad, or you make it but you don't eat leftovers in your house, or you make it but then you only use this much of the ingredient, you have this much left and it just sits in your fridge and it goes bad, and you're like, my gosh, cooking and grocery shopping is so expensive. Well, yeah, if you shop and cook like that, it is. So more important, and I want you to hear this, more important than the grocery budget, more important than the grocery shopping is the cooking. And that is why I'm coming out with a cookbook in a couple of months. Surprise, surprise, little sneaky peek. But it's not a normal cookbook. It's like amazing. We have like 40 pages just of like substitutions. It's going to be amazing. It's a shelf cooking book. I have a shelf cooking account, and it's all about being smart with the food you have. Here's how to get your grocery budget down to $100 per person per month, or at least close to it. For those of you who need to adapt, go ahead and adapt, but try to start as close as you can to that. Here's how. Number one, you need to start cooking with what you have already. I show this, and if you go back on IGTV, if you go to my YouTube channel, I show it again and again and again and again, that I open my fridge and I'm like, I have nothing. But you do. There's always something. Do you have condiments? Do you have some leftover stale bread? Do you have a box of pasta? Do you have, like, there's stuff you can make. Would it be like a grilled fresh steak with fresh veggies? No, maybe not if you don't have those things, but you can create a recipe. If you have flour, yeast, sugar, water, like, you can make stuff. You know what I'm saying? So start with what you have first, and then make a list of the ingredients you have. Find recipes that you can make with those ingredients, and then you can head to the store for supplemental ingredients, just a few things to complete your meals for the week. So then what do you do with the rest of that grocery budget if you really only need a couple of fresh things? Well, that's where you buy things for later. Is there meat that's on sale? Don't buy just one. Buy one for now, 2 for later. So you end up with 3. Cook one right away, freeze the other 2. And then next time you need a roast or chicken or whatever it is, you've got some in your freezer that you didn't pay full price for, which cuts down on your grocery budget slowly over time, but it really adds up. Same with canned foods. Is there a case lot sale at a store near you, which is where they sell like an entire case of cans, which is like that cardboard little pallet that is wrapped that it comes on? There's, I think, 12 typically to a case, 12 or 24. Well, there are case lot sales where it's like half the price because you're buying bulk. All right, then spend your grocery budget that week buying those extra things and keeping them on hand so you have inexpensive groceries in your own house. Now, this leads me to a question that I saw pop up a lot today, which was, how do I possibly store stuff? I know it's easy when you have extra freezers or when you have a huge pantry like I have in my house. We did not build our house. We bought it, and they built a giant pantry, which I'm grateful for, but I'd never had one like that before, ever. I had a little tiny closet for a while in my 2-bedroom townhome, and we just got lucky in this house. So I get it. My mom does not have a pantry at all. She has a couple cabinets. My mother-in-law, she doesn't have a pantry in Arizona at all. She has a tall cabinet in her kitchen. You can get creative. Here are some ideas. My aunt is so clever. She's in California. She got a small chest freezer, which is like an upright freezer that opens from the top, but hers is kind of squared off. It's not a long, skinny one. And she keeps it in her guest room. She put a tablecloth over it and a lamp on it and put it next to the bed, and it literally looks like a nightstand. And she just takes the lamp off and opens it whenever she needs stuff, but she keeps things in there that are fine long-term, like meat that's vacuum sealed or freezer meals, things that you typically don't get into every single day. Genius. I mean, how often do you use your guest room? So that would be just fine. And even then, your guests are there because they're guests, and they can set their stuff on the freezer. It's fine. My mom, she has cabinets in her house, but then she has a little coat closet right inside her door that she turned into a pantry. They built some shelves. She got some rack things from IKEA, some hooks. She got really creative. Also, she utilizes space in her garage and in her downstairs rooms and closets. My mother-in-law does not have a basement because she's in Arizona, but they've gotten really clever with things that can pull out from under the bed. She has a closet in a different part of the house that she keeps things in, and in her, I hope that didn't stop my video. I just had an alarm go off. In her laundry room, there's a closet in the laundry room where she keeps food. So you can get creative. I know people who have kept freezers on their back porch. I don't know. Will you guys let me know in the comments below where and how have you become creative in storing food? So how do you get your budget down to $100 per person per month if you have teenagers? Okay, that's trickier. I will give you that, but it's not impossible because at the cabin and at my home, we host a lot. Let's just say that. What I recommend in that case is make the protein the sidekick, not the hero. So if you want chicken for dinner, instead of grilling up an entire chicken breast, because hello, a teenage boy could eat 2 entire chicken breasts, then why don't you grill them up, but you chop them up and you make grilled chicken strips and you put that on top of a salad or on top of rice with a really yummy sauce, or you put it on a kebab where there's chicken, but there's also veggies and potatoes and really hearty things that fill you up just the same, but it's way cheaper. I use a lot of potatoes. I use a lot of rice. I use a lot of veggies that are on sale and in season. Otherwise, that can be very expensive as well. So the protein should be the sidekick. The other thing is you reuse leftovers over and over and over. So let's say chicken's on sale for $1.89 a pound, which is a good deal. Anything $1.99 or less is good and you should stock up on it. So let's say it's $1.89. So you buy several packs of chicken. Well, you can cook them up and shred them in your mixer, with your hand mixer or in a stand mixer. Works great. And you can freeze cooked chicken for quick soups or whatever, or you can grill them and freeze them in strips or just freeze them raw. But I forget what I was going to say. Oh, leftovers. So let's say, and then you cook some right away. Well, maybe you grill chicken the first night if you really want to do that. And then don't end up throwing it out because you're sick of eating plain chicken. Chop it up and make a stir fry. Add it to a soup. Repurpose your leftovers so you reinvent them over and over and you don't get sick of them. Don't waste anything. Because what happens is when you use what you have and get creative with it, you don't need to buy as much from the store that next week or that same week. Which also brings me to another tip, which is only go grocery shopping 1 time per week, no matter what. I wish I could throw this in fireworks in the air. The more you go to the store, the more you will spend. I'm guilty of this. I ran to the store. All I needed was a basil plant because mine died in a hailstorm and I really wanted it for homemade pizza. I went in for a basil plant and I came out spending $55 because I kept finding things like, oh, I'm here. That will cost you so much more, okay? I rarely, I have a family of 10. Granted, my kids are young and I know that's an excuse and it is, but we host a lot. In fact, this whole week, I have an entire family of 5 that I'm feeding along with our meals and I stuck with my budget this week. So I know it's possible. You just have to be scrappy and it does take work. You got to plan ahead with your meals. You only go grocery shopping 1 time per week. And then if you need something that you don't have, you improvise. Go online. If you don't have balsamic glaze that a recipe calls for, Google it. See what other substitutions there are. If you don't have eggs, Maybe borrow one from a neighbor. Or guess what? You can use certain oils or flaxseed or applesauce in place of eggs when baking or in other ingredient or in other recipes. There is always a way. Or maybe you scratch that recipe because you're like, crud, half the stuff that I need for this recipe I don't have, but it sure sounds good. Then put a pin in it and save it for next week. Another thing I really recommend doing is ordering your groceries online. Now, hear me on this. I don't necessarily mean to be delivered, because oftentimes you will be charged extra for that. Instacart charges you extra on every item. Yes, even when you shop at Costco. But order your groceries online for pickup, as long as it doesn't charge you a fee. But the reason why is because as you add things to your cart, it's showing you the total. So if I have a $200 budget for that week, I'm adding things to my cart and I can see right away when I'm over budget or approaching that budget, and it's very easy to put stuff back. Whereas when you're in the store, your things look good, they taste good, they smell good, you're hungry, and you're impulsively just putting things in your cart, and you don't know how much it's going to cost you until you're at the front of the line ready to pay. And at that point, you're not going to put things back. Sam's Club does have an app where you can scan things as you go, and it keeps tally for you on your phone, and then you can check out right there and walk away, and that's really great. And I know some stores do have that. So whether you shop online for grocery pickup and avoid the impulse buys and see your total as you go, however you do that, that's a great way to cut down on your grocery budget. This is getting really long. Clearly, I could talk about this forever, but those are some of my tips. It's possible, but this is what I'm going to challenge you to do. You ready for this? For this Q&A Tuesday, I'm going to challenge you to just try. Just try it. I want you to try it for a whole month. Set your budget, $100 per person in your family per month, but then break it down per week. You only have to follow that budget for like 6 or 7 days. You can do it. And then it rolls over and it starts all over again in 6 days. You can do it. You can do anything for 6 days, I promise. But do not blame it on the grocery store. Do not blame it on grocery shopping. It all comes down to the cooking. It does. Get really creative. Plan your meals. Use what you've got. If you literally moved into a home and have nothing in your pantry, nothing in your fridge, that's a different story. But for the rest of us, we do have something. There is something somewhere. And then because you're using what you have a a little bit of extra wiggle room, because you don't need to go buy everything you need. So with that wiggle room, then go stock up on things that are on sale and buy 1 for now, 2 for later, slowly build a stockpile. And before you know it, you will have a pantry or a closet that's full of food. It's like your own little store that you can shop from when things are otherwise high priced. And now you are a pro at using what you've got, repurposing leftovers, and also know your prices. Know your prices. I literally for years carried, I have a blog post about it. You can search it. Price notebook. Just go to my blog, funcheaper.com, and search price notebook. You will see I took shots of it. A little notebook I kept in my purse, and every time I saw a price on something, it was like ribeye steak, I guess, for whatever a pound or whatever it is, I would write it in there. That's how I know that chicken at $1.89 or less is a good deal, because I would write it down and then I would always keep track of the lowest price that I saw. So I just knew what a good price was for things in my book. And sometimes I would write sale price and sometimes I would write average price. But it really helps, especially when shopping at Costco, because in that book I would have price per ounce or price per pound rather than just price per container. That's important too. So once you know your prices, you'll know a good deal when you see it, and you will go and you will be able to stock up. Grow things yourself. Go to farmers markets. Use produce co-ops. Oh, there's so many tips, you guys. In fact, I'm going to be done talking. Why don't you leave your tips below? And if you want more, please get my budget bootcamp program. Money back guarantee. You can have it for a month, and if you don't like it, then I'll give you your money back. I don't care. Just try it. Use the code TAKE30 for 30% off only through the end of June. And then it won't be on sale after that. So run. Leave your tips below. This was fun. I'm long-winded. I got to go put my kids to bed. Bye.